Hey guys, it's Anna. I'm excited to show you another problem in my SAT and ACT math prep series. This problem says 40% of 250 is equal to 60% of what number? So I love working with percentages because all you have to do is use division to find either 10% or 1% to then come up with whatever percentage you want. So usually if it's in an even group of 10, like 40% or 60%, we can end up dividing by 10. But sometimes we might even divide like if we do 63% of the number, if we have 63% of the number and we divide it by 63, that'll give us 1%. So we can always get back to 1% or get back to 10% and work from there. So it's pretty easy. So 40% of 250 is equal to 60% of what number? Let's start with the first line, 40% of 250. Let's find 40% of 250. So we have 250, and they're saying 40% of that. So in order to find 40%, I'd like to first find 10% of 250. So we know that to find 10% of a number, we move the decimal one place to the left. So we know that 25 is 10% of 250. Okay? So if 25 is 10% of 250, then 40% of 250 is going to be 4 times the 10%, right? It's going to be 4 times 25. So we know 40% of 250 is 100. Okay? Does that make sense? So we took the 250, we moved the decimal one place to the left. We have 25. 25 is 10% of 250. Now we can figure out the 40% of 250 is 4 times 25, 4 times 10% is 40%. So 4 times 25 is going to be 100. So 40% of 250 is 100. So they're saying this number, 40% of 250, which happens to be 100, is equal to 60% of what number? So they're saying 100 is 60% of what number? Okay, so we're saying 100 is 60% of what number? Okay, so here's where it gets interesting. So all we have to do is figure out, if we know 100 is 60%, could we figure out 10% of that number? And if we could figure out 10% of that number, could we figure out 100% of the number, like the whole number, right? So let's work backwards. So if 100 is 60%, then how do we go from 60% to 10%? We're going to divide by 6. So we do 100 divided by 6. And this we can use a calculator for. And it's 16 and 2/3. And 16.66 repeating. Okay. So that's going to be, that's 10%. 10% of the number. Of the number we're looking for. Okay, so now all we do is we take that decimal. If we have 10% of the number we want, how do we find 100% of the number we want? How do we find the whole number? From 10% to 100%, multiply by 10. So we're going to do 16.6 repeating times 10. To multiply a number by 10, all we do is we move the decimal one place to the right, right? So you have 166.6 repeating, or 166 and 2/3 is your answer. So let's retrace our steps. Let's look at how we did this. So they wanted 40% of 250 is equal to 60% of what number? It's very important that you take it step by step, piece by piece. If you're trying to take too many steps at once, you're going to get things tripped up. So let's just take the first line, 40% of 250. Okay, what is 40% of 250? So we did 250, we took 10% of that, multiplied that by 4 to get 40% of 250. So we said, oh, it's 100, right? Then we said, and then they said that percentage, which is 100, is equal to 60% of what number? 100 is equal to 60% of what number? Well, if we have 60%, we could get 10% of that number, right? So we do 100 divided by 6, which is 16.66. That's 10%. We want 100, so we multiply the 10% amount by 10 to get 100. We do 16.66 times 10. We get 166.66. Awesome job, you guys. Please watch more of my videos to learn more about harder SAT and ACT math problems, how you can make them so much simpler.